everybody, welcome to my channel Keto. I'm Kath, and this video is all about what to eat on keto. I did a video about the top 10 tips, and I did say I would do a video on what to eat. I'm trying to make it as simple for new people as possible, especially people in the UK, because there's a lot of keto videos and a lot of the food on them is American, and we're so far behind America in having keto friendly things that you can just go and pick up off the shelf. So this video is to try and help you understand what you can eat. It is not an exhaustive list of food, but what I've tried to do is list the ones that are probably the most common, and also in terms of vegetables, the lowest in carbs, to help you keep your carbohydrate levels low. So I do weekly updates. I do lots of videos, information videos. Please, if you enjoy this video, will you please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, tell me that you like the, give me a thumbs up, and if you want to comment or you need any advice, I'm not a qualified doctor, no medical background. This is all about my personal journey and my experience, but anybody that comments, I do try and reply. So let's get into what you can actually eat on keto. And I'm going to start with the vegetables, because on keto you have to measure your protein, your carbohydrates and your fats, but your carbohydrates are the things that you need to keep low. You need to keep them under about 20 grams a day, so that you stay in ketosis. So what I've done with the vegetables is I've listed them from low carbohydrate to high, because some vegetables are really high in carbs, so you can't have many of them. Whereas if you focus on the low carbs, you're going to be able to fill yourself up, especially in the early days when you need that satiety and you need to feel quite full. Focus on the lower carb vegetables. So the first ones are less than 1 gram of carbs per cup. Now you do need a proper measuring cup. A proper measuring cup is 250 millilitres. That's the size of a cup. So these vegetables, lettuce, spinach and bok choy, which is Chinese cabbage, it's available in all supermarkets these days. You can cook with it, you can put it in stews. They're all less than 1 gram of carb in 1 cupful. So you can have quite a few cupfuls of those and fill yourself up. Obviously spinach, you can cook with spinach, you can put it in curries, you can put it in omelettes, you know, it's a good filler. So 1 gram of carb per cupful. The next 3 are between 1 and 1.6 grams of carbs. So in order, kale, mushrooms and celery. Now kale, you can use it like cabbage, cook it as a side, but it's great if you put a little bit of oil on it on a big tray in the oven, and it crisps up, and you can actually crunch it and then cover it in salt. It's a little bit like crispy seaweed if you've ever been to the Chinese and had crispy seaweed. Mushrooms are a great filler. So if you're doing a chili, you're doing a bolognese and you want to bulk your meat up, mushrooms are a great filler, and about 1 gram of carbs per cupful. You can have a couple of cupfuls and bulk your food out with them, but they're also a great side dish. You know, if you're having steak, have steak with mushrooms in a creamy sauce, and they're delicious. Celery obviously goes with your salads, but you can use celery to dip. So if you like a bit of peanut butter, you can have celery with peanut butter. That'll get your fats in, and you're getting some of your carbs and that full feeling as well. So celery is a really good vegetable to have in. Next 3 are between 2.1 and 2.4 grams of carbs per cupful. So radish, cucumber and asparagus. A lot of people love asparagus. Obviously cucumber, you've got that for your salads, but radish, and a lot of people they think it's just a salad vegetable. They are so versatile. They can be a potato replacement. So if you're doing a stew, you can put radishes in and they cook like potatoes. They remain solid, like firm, but the texture of potatoes. You can actually grate them and make like a little roasty with them. I just squeeze all the water out first, but they're very, very versatile. You can fry them in a pan like you would like crispy sort of diced potatoes. You know, that they can make not chips, but a potato alternative. You can use your radish for that. Really, really low in carbs, very, very versatile. Highly recommend you keep stock of radish. Next 3 are between 2.9 grams and 3.5 grams of carbs. So you're looking at probably having 1 cupful, which is your cabbage, your cauliflower and your broccoli. Now, obviously cabbage is quite filling, and you can make coleslaw with cabbage. Cauliflower is a really, really versatile veg, and a lot of people use it for lots of things. So if you have it mashed, it's a good mashed potato replacement, but you need quite a lot to mash it and fulfill yourselves up. So you have to measure cauliflower, because between 2.9 and 3.5 grams of carb a cupful, 2 cupfuls is going to add up to quite a lot of carbs. But if you just use a stick blender and blend it with a little bit of butter, it makes a great mashed potato alternative, and then you can use it on top of a shepherd's pie or something like that. Broccoli is nice rather than boiled, roasted in the oven with some butter. It's really, really nice, and it just gives that little bit more filling because it's that little bit more bulky, because it's not cooked down to soft. The next three are between 3.7 and 4 grams, so you can see how the carbs are creeping up now. Courgette, green peppers and green beans. Now courgette is a great spaghetti alternative if you spiralise it. I make little courgette fritters and mix them with cheese and eggs and fry them off as a side dish. They're really, really nice. Green peppers, don't use many of them, so maybe a tablespoon of chopped up peppers in a dish, then you're not going to be having too many, because a cupful is quite a lot. But again, you use them in cooking, you can put them on your salads. Green beans, I love green beans, boiled, and then garlic and butter, and they're a nice side and a very filling side. But your carbs are getting then to 4 grams of carbs in a cupful, so you've got to watch your quantities. And the last three that I'm going to list, because the carbs are creeping up, are between 4.5 grams and 4.8 grams of carbs, and they're sprouts, onions and tomatoes. So onions are quite high in carbs. They're quite sweet, actually, onions, so you've got to measure. If you're going to put onions on anything, you've got to measure them and include your measurements. And tomatoes, again, they're quite a red vegetable, and they're usually high in sugar the more colour there is in the vegetable. So they're not a no, but you do have to measure and weigh them, because they're 4.8 grams in a cupful. So when you're using tinned tomatoes and tomato sauce, they're quite high in carbohydrates, and you have to make sure that you do count and measure everything that you're going to eat. So there your veg. So in the beginning, when you want to go really low carb and use all reserves up, concentrate on the low carb vegetables, the lettuce, the spinach, kale, mushroom, celery, radish, cucumber, asparagus. Try and concentrate on those in the first few weeks to get your carbohydrate levels really, really low, and try and getting into ketosis fast. Okay, so let's move on from the veg. Let's move on to meat, and I'm just going to refer to my list because everything written down. So meats, basically all meats, bacon, beef, whether it's minced beef, it can be high fat, it can be low fat, whatever your preference is. It can be diced beef, you can have steaks, all beef. Chicken, all poultry, turkey, everything is on the list. Duck, goat, lamb, organ meats. So, organ meats are very important. There's lots and lots of goodness in organ meats. So try and aim to have organ meats once a week. I normally do lamb's liver, because I find that's my favourite. Some of them I don't like. Pig's liver I find it a bit too tough, but lamb's liver is lovely. Pork, veal, venison, if that takes your fancy. Basically all meats are on the list, and that's what you're going to start build your meal around your protein. And you need to hit your protein goal. It's not something that you want to be under. You need to make sure you get your protein in. All deli meats are okay. My advice would be, if you can, do your own. So if you're going to cook chicken, cook an extra chicken breast and slice it up, and then you've got sliced chicken for the next day. But if you're going to buy things like ham, you need to look at the labels. Yesterday's video on the top 10 tips, I showed you a packet of ham, and each slice was 0.5, and they were only small slices, but 0.5 grams of carbs. So 4 slices of that ham and you've had 2 grams of carbs. So deli meats are fine, but please look at your labels and choose your deli meats wisely. Okay, so moving on. The next one is fish. So my number one fish for this diet is salmon. For a number of reasons. It's very, very healthy. It's got your omega oils in it, but also because it's an oily fish, it's very satiating. If you have a portion of salmon, just normally like a salmon steak, you find you're full and you're satisfied after it with your side of veg. So that's my number one, but all fish and all shellfish are on the list. So you've got crab, cod, haddock, lobster, mackerel, mussels, plaice, oysters, scallops, shrimps, trout, tuna. Tuna's brilliant, you know, and it's an easy thing to buy in a tin and have in the cupboard as a backup, as well as fresh tuna. But all fish and all shellfish, and most canned fish, again, read your label, but canned tuna is fine. You just need to make sure that anything else has not got added sugars in it. So all the shellfish, again, you build your plate around your protein and then add on everything else. So the next one I'm going to move on to is the fats, because this is the one that people find most extraordinary, to be able to eat fat on a diet. But you're not looking at your rapeseed oil and your sunflower oils. They're not the type of fats. We want you to concentrate on the more healthy fats on this diet. So the kind of fats you're going to have, so cooking, for example, I cook with, I'll show you this is from Costco, but you can get it in smaller, but I cook with avocado oil. It's not got any taste to it really, so it's easy to cook with. It doesn't flavour your food if you use it, and it's got a high smoke point as well, so unlike olive oil. So that's what I cook with. That is what I fry with all the time, avocado oil. But other oils to cook with, like dripping, butter, coconut oil. You can get coconut oil that hasn't got a coconut flavour. I think Morrison's do one now. But I like to do coconut oil in a curry because it gives it that nice Thai flavour, the coconutty flavour. So coconut oil, ghee, if you can get ghee, it's becoming more widely available, which is just clarified butter, goose fat, and lard. What you do need to do with your oils is measure them, because you need to track them. 1 tablespoon of oil is very, very high in calories, and your fat target for the day, you don't have to meet, you want to burn some of your own body fat as well. So fats should always be measured. Okay, so if we move on to fats to cook with, fats to dress. So if you're going to have a salad, put a little bit of fat on it, put a little bit of olive oil. You can olive oil, squeeze a lemon juice, some salt and pepper. Makes a lovely dressing. I like chili flakes in it as well because I do like things spicy. Makes a nice dressing for a salad, and the oil on your salad or putting butter on your veg helps with that satiety, will help you feel full. So don't be afraid to use oils for dressings as well. So you've got butter, you can use the avocado oil, you can make a dressing with it, and olive oil. But again, if you're going to do a dressing, you measure it out before you use it. The next one is dairy. Now, some people can have a reaction to dairy. It can cause inflammation. Everybody's different, so you do what's right for you. But dairy's all fine as well. So, I mean, butter comes under dairy, obviously, but you've got all your cheeses. You can have cheese on this diet. Cream cheese, I use Philadelphia a lot. I bake with it, I cook with it. I make cheesecakes with it, or I make a little pudding with just Philadelphia and some cream and some flavourings, and it's beautiful. But full fat, you don't want to go for the low fat options because they will have sugar substituted to make the taste up. So the full fat cream cheeses. Eggs and cream, you can have cream. So one of my favourite puddings, I use it as a filler, is jelly, 1 or 2 tablespoons of cream. You can put cream in your coffees, so you can have a lovely rich coffee with some cream in it. Some people who can't drink drinks without milk, they don't like them black, will do half cream and water it down and make it into a milk, then use that in the teas and coffees. But you know, dairy is not off the list. What you do need to do with the dairy is again weigh and measure, because the only week that I didn't lose weight in the very early days was a week where I snacked on cheese, and it's high in calories, high in fat, and it can make you go over your allowance. So you do need to measure all your dairy products very, very carefully. So the next one is nuts. So nuts are you can use them in cooking, you can bake with them. Nut flours are used a lot on keto for baking, so like almond flour is used in lots and lots of recipes, but it's quite high in carbs, uses a lot of your calories, so you've just got to be careful on your quantities. And again, rather than just go and snack on nuts, you need to weigh and measure them out first and then portion them out, and then that's what you eat. Don't just go and help yourself, because they're, again, high in fats and high in calories, so they'll use your allowance up very, very quickly, and you want to actually fill yourself up with the veg. I think that must be your number one bulker in the early days. But nuts and seeds, almonds, Brazils, macadamia nuts, pecans, Pumpkin seeds, flax seeds. Now, you might hear, I make some bread rolls with flax seeds. Flax seeds are milled linseeds. They're both one and the same thing. We tend to call them linseeds. These are from Aldi, $1.79 a packet. Very easy to get hold of. And I mix these with egg, and I can't remember what else. It might be cream cheese, and I make some like fake bread rolls with them. But if you see a recipe with flaxseed in, it's the same as milled linseed. So that's, and it's also really, really good. It's got a lot of fibre in it. It's very, very low carb because most of it is fibre and it goes straight through you. But if you do get a little bit constipated, putting flax seeds on something, baking with it, you can put it on your salads to give them a bit of a crunch. That's a great thing to help you with your constipation. Sunflower seeds, but you know, just make sure you measure all your seeds. Drinks. Okay, so what can you drink? I'll just turn my notes over. What can you drink? So I've talked about in the top 10 tips, having a bridge. Really, really important to get you from one meal to the other without snacking, and it's something you need to build a habit of and practice. So my go-to is black coffee. I make a great big pot in the morning. I put it in a flask, and I've got my flask, and everywhere I go I'm filling a little coffee cup up, and I'm drinking coffee all the time. But try going cold turkey, try making your teas or your coffees black, and just using them to help you get from one meal to the other. Water, obviously, I'm not a big water drinker. I'd rather have a hot drink than a cold drink, but water, if you're a water drinker, plenty of water. But you've got your green teas, your herbal teas, they're all acceptable. I bought one for Christmas and it was ginger and spices, and it's really Christmassy, really, really nice, and I've been drinking that over Christmas. Carbonated water, and then the other one is broths. So you can buy beef broth, chicken broth, and they're warm, so when it's cold, it's actually snowing here today, but when it's cold you could have a cup of warm broth, and that will help you get through. I mean, there are a few calories in it, but not a lot. So that will help you get through from one meal to the next. And I'm going to include a slide on alcohol because I think it's important. You know, if you want to drink, you don't have to deprive yourself. So there's the slide on what to avoid, which I'll put in here. What you can drink, so it's mainly your sort of shorts, you know, your whiskey and vodka, and then if I'm going to have, I usually drink whiskey now, or I'll have a gin, I will have a sugar-free mixer. You do have to be careful of the mixers because they can have the nasty sugars in that can spike your insulin. They don't tend to affect me, but there are some things that you can drink. You can have alcohol, you don't have to deprive yourself. Tesco's do a wine now called Skinny wine, and it's very, very low carb. Every time I go to Tesco, because there's more and more people doing keto, I cannot get it. It's always sold out. I believe the white is not as nice as the rosé. The rosé seems to be everybody's favourite. So if you like a glass of wine, go to Tesco's and try and get the rosé Skinny wine, it's called. And I don't know if it's their own brand, but I think Tesco's is the only place you can get it. What I will say, a word of warning about alcohol, is your body treats alcohol as poison. So it metabolises alcohol and prioritises using it up before anything else, and it uses it as a fuel. So whilst you're drinking alcohol and whilst it's in your system, your body will start burning ketones and it will use that alcohol up. It will not kick you out of ketosis unless you have too many carbs, and you know, but it doesn't tend to happen, and I'll tell you why. When you're in a state of ketosis, your alcohol tolerance is very, very low. I read a story the other week and it made me laugh. A lady who normally drinks at weekend had her usual 2 bottles of wine and ended up in hospital. They had to send for an ambulance because she collapsed, because you just can't drink the same amount. So if you're going to have a drink, drink very, very slowly and make it last, because you will soon feel the effects. If you drink quick and drink your normal amounts, you might find you make yourself very, very ill and very sick. So just drink slowly, save it for the weekend, and just have 1 or 2 glasses and you'll find that's enough. But don't drink too much, because you want to be in a state of ketosis. You want your body to be burning ketones and not burning alcohol. and it will just pause burning your fat whilst it uses the alcohol up. So that's your word of warning, but it's not off limits. You can have a drink on keto, don't be afraid. So the next thing is, what should your plate look like? Because 70% fats, how do you build a plate with 70% fats? You've still got your protein, you've still got your carbs, but your plate should look like this. 50% of your plate is going to be green vegetables. And that's because they're the lowest calories, so you're getting more bang for your buck. Now 70% fat is so high in calorie and it's such a condensed, that actually visually on your plate, it would only be 25% of your plate. And that 25% you're probably going to use to cook with. So you're not necessarily going to have fats looking like fat on your plate unless you're dressing your vegetables with it. You will have probably used your fats in your cooking. And then 25% is going to be your protein. So one normal, usually like the sort of palm of your hand size piece of protein is what your plate would look like. Obviously the best thing to do is to weigh and measure, but if that's not you, this is a good guideline for what your plate should look like. Half of it low carb, concentrate on the low carb veg, 25% protein, and the other 25% your fats, but try and use them to cook with or dress your vegetables with. And the last thing I'm going to do is put in some meals that I've eaten just to give you an idea of what you can eat. So just some ideas. I'll just flick through some pictures for you, and just so you know that actually you can really enjoy your food. Your food can be really satisfying because you've got that fat in there. And the thing about fat and protein is your body has an off switch for them. It doesn't have it for carbs, which is why we eat carbs. Our body does not have this off switch for carbs. If you ever sat down and had a great big steak and thought, oh, I can't finish that, I'm too full. It's this mechanism, it's the natural thing that occurs within your body, and it says, I've had enough, and that's satiety. And we have this off switch for protein and for fats. So if they're your main part of your food, you've got a good quality protein, you're cooking with the fats, you will feel satisfied with your meals. You can bulk yourself up with a veg, but you're going to get to a point you think, I've had enough and I'm not hungry. So build your plate around good quality healthy food, and that will help you get from one meal to the other because you will not be hungry. So here's some meals I've enjoyed, so you can have a little look at the pictures. Very pleased with that. It looks great. It's worked out really well. It's risen quite a lot actually, so we shall see. So it's a corned beef crust quiche. So there we have the finished result, the chicken nuggets with the dips and turnip fries. Turnip fries have shrunk quite a lot, so I think next time I do it I'd probably make more fries and leave enough carbs to probably double that quantity. But I shall sit down and enjoy that now. And finally, just wanted to say good luck. I hope this guide has helped you. It's not exhaustive, there are lots of foods out there that you can eat. It's just to help you get started and to give you some ideas to start building those meals in your first couple of weeks. If you watch my other 2 videos, this is 1 of 3, how to get started on keto and my top 10 tips. And in the top 10 tips I talk about having your tool bag, getting all the information together and building up your little journal of what you can and can't eat. And this video is to help you along that way, to start to build up ideas of what to do, what to eat, and how to put your meals together. So good luck if you're embarking on a keto diet. Let me know how you get on. Please put a comment in below, give me a like, and I shall see you soon for my weekly updates. Bye.